Um, welcome to a very special class that we have for you today. I'm here with my colleague and cohort, Stephanie, right over there in Calabasas. Yep.
Hello, hello.
Hey. We're here with a couple special agents of ours, and we're going to talk about a really interesting topic, being about sellers and how do you prepare them to put list on the market, and really getting that listing. So, Stephanie, do you want to go ahead and introduce your agent there?
Yeah, hey, Allison, stand up and get a little bit closer if you can. All right, we have the amazing and energetic Alyson Silverman, who works with a multitude of sellers and is always, you know, she takes a lot of time and energy into prepping her listings for sale because she has a great combination of REOs that she works with as well that typically take a lot more extensive work to prepare them. And then also with the other sellers that are, the regular sellers, if there's ever such a thing. But anyway, yeah, so she's one of our ALC members and one of our top producers here at the Calabasas office. So look forward to hearing from Alyson today.
Yay, so good to have you, Allison. She's
Thank
actually,
you.
yes,
I didn't know that you right over there, but
I know. She's here in Long Beach, which is fun. And then we have the fantastic Penny McCann here with us today, representing Long Beach Coastal. And her name almost needs no introduction. This woman is so hardworking. She has grown her business and particularly excels with her sellers. Mainly, I know you very notorious. I was going to say notorietous, right? What kind of name? Very notorious in the Rossmore area. I mean, absolutely fantastic with the listings that you've taken. They're just gorgeous. And your reputation with your sellers is just unmatchable. So thank you so much, Penny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Your accent to boot, right? Like that accent, I'm sure it kills
You
me.
know, my accent can stop an argument before it's got started. When the husband when the husband and wife are arguing, I speak and suddenly they stop. They've got to listen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Penny. I know we're
Thank
happy to
you.
have you as well, Allison. You're fantastic. So let's get started. Who wants to kind of give us a little bit of an intro here? Talk about your experience a little bit with sellers and what's really happening in this market right now. Who'd like to go first? Allison?
um, well, so to start off, I'm staging certified, so I have the lifetime membership. So for my regular sellers, I don't really do that for REO because although there is a lot of prep work to do in a vacant home or an REO, so I work with a seller way in advance. Sometimes a couple months before to prep the house. So right now, this one seller I have, we're putting it in coming soon today. We're trying that out for the first time. She's been decluttering for quite a few months. So we're just eliminating the clutter. They're moving anyway, so donate your stuff, pack it up, throw it out, and pack up the stuff that you're not wearing, like your winter clothes. You're not going to be wearing them in summer, so pack it up, box it, put it, half of the garage. So that's one of my main focuses right now. I don't know, Penny, you want to jump in here?
I'm the same. Typically, when I go to a listing appointment, one thing I ask them to have ready for when I'm coming is a spare key. So I know if the key is on the table, that they're serious and I've got the listing. So that's just one thing I ask
like that.
them to have ready for me. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's a lot of decluttering. I know I work a lot in the Rossmore area, again, with the big price point, not saying that Alyson doesn't, but those homes still usually need a lot of decluttering because the bigger they are, the more stuff they like to put into the house. So walking them through either by myself or with my stager, telling them what they need to take out, advising them, maybe a pod's needed so that we can get things out just to get the home on the market.
So that's great. I love both of your ideas and being a certified stager. That's interesting. Is that what it's called? That's cool.
It's
Um,
I think it's ASP certification.
that's awesome. Well, that's yet another thing that you can always
So when the
use.
market tanked last time, I literally had a home sitting on market forever. And it was my ex-boyfriend's house, and because we had an offer and they were arguing over $10,000, and that was when the interest, well, the what happened with the jumbo loan, something was right when everything tanked. They lost by not taking that offer. They lost $100,000. They were arguing over 10. So I said, and it sat on market for a little bit. I'm like, no one's listening to me about their stuff. As soon as I got certified, all of a sudden, this magic piece of paper, they listened to me on, and the problem with his house was that it had an apartment building in the backyard looking into the pool. So, you have to be a problem solver. So that's how I started staging homes back then with my own things, just small tchotchkes and, telling them what to do to make more money, get rid of that smell, rip out the carpet, that kind of stuff. Paint and carpet,
Yeah.
fastest way to get rid of a smell.
So I have some fun questions for you, quick, ladies. So how has prepping your sellers changed in light of the current market, COVID? So like pre-COVID, I'm sure you had lots of time with most listings and a lot of sit down. How has that really changed for the pandemic?
I actually haven't. Well, no, I went on a list. I actually did a face-to-face listing appointment 10 days ago. We all sat at a table with our masks on. So for me, it hasn't really changed anything. My stager's still willing to go in. She'll sign the PED that we need signing. So for me, nothing much has changed. They didn't want to meet via Zoom or do a FaceTime walkthrough. And not argument, their point back to me was, you're going to be showing my house, so why won't you come in and do a listing appointment? So I did.
Interesting. How about you, Alyson? Has anything changed at all?
There's more paperwork and more stuff for me to do, with the PEDs, with the, I have to let them know that they're going to showings, my REO. It's more work for me. But yeah, I'm still face to face, wearing masks. So so I worked with Richard Daskin on solutions on how I'm gonna. I guess Alyson Van Week has the same problem. It's an Alyson problem. And it's a Richard solution, I guess. So we worked on solutions on how to make sure they're sanitized and the masks are in the properties, which I have my masks here because I'm going to 2 properties after this. And yeah, it's just more work, but I'm still face to face doing it safely.
So can I ask you a quick question, ladies? So, quick question, is there any way, how can you walk us through your steps that you take in, determining or evaluating what needs to be done for the house in preparation for on the market, right, for the showings? And so, kind of take them through the steps, and then, and the second half of it is, how do you evaluate how much time then the prep work is going to take before you put it on the market? Does that make sense?
So, I go through a calendar with them, and one of the things that changed is I'm doing, more virtual tours and probably a video of me walking through the house, giving a tour. And so we talk about that. So my cost has gone up. And then as far as if it's a traditional seller, I give them as much time as they need. It's a very traumatic event for some people. Very stressful. Moving is one of the 5 biggest stressors in your life. So you kind of have to gauge the seller's stress level. And so I break it down. So, hey, this room needs to be painted by the time I come back. All the books need to be donated by the time I come back. So different people handle that stress differently. So, but yeah, all the personal pictures have to come down. We mark what things have to go out to the garage or get donated. I just chunk it down with them. And once you make, especially the coming soon, that made it pretty easy because now I have 3 weeks for free without my days on market going up. So, we're breaking down that 3 weeks into the steps that we have to do. Now they've committed, to a date that's going in the MLS live. We're not doing any showings for at least a week. But yeah, it's all dependent on each seller and their comfort zone, because you can see when this lady started crying when we talked about it. And I said, no, this is good. You kind of you have to be a little cheerleader. So, Penny.
Yeah. It's a calendar when I sit down with them, and I also look as to how many homes are on the market in their square footage in their area, and then find out what their motivation is to getting things done. I also offer my handyman, because some people they get too overwhelmed with decluttering the home that they can't focus then on the simple maybe painting or repairs. So I always offer to have my handyman come out, and I give him the punch list. The seller and I have already agreed, but I give him the punch list, and he goes through and does the work so that we're ready for market. I haven't had anyone yet with the coming soon, so I'm looking forward to that, because that does, like Alyson said, that gives you 3 weeks. I would be nervous with some people that they would just still lollygag and not get the work done. So it's, forcing the hand, setting a date and sticking with it.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting to both of your approach are very similar yet different in the way that you talk with your clients. And I'm just always amazed by how we can all be doing the same job but offer completely different services. And I think that both of you, the way you're talking about communicating with your sellers is something that you've honed in on your craft and your style. So let's say you have a seller that has to sell but isn't quite ready, maybe has to sell because of a divorce or because of financial need. What are some of the things that you say to them as an agent to soothe them or to make them feel better, anything along those lines?
A divorce, I'll say, hey, it's an opportunity for a fresh start. I always find the positive. They don't want to, even though, I'm sorry that you're going through this, but you always, I'm their cheerleader, problem solver. So, they're looking to me for energy and, to push them through this and to hold their hand. And I let them know that I'm there, so whatever it is, moving, it's stressful. Even like a first-time home buyer moving in, that's hugely stressful. They go through buyer's remorse, they go through panic attacks. You just have to be there and listen to them and talk to them. I know this is about sellers, but it's still a big decision to do this, and it's even more stressful when they have to buy something, or when they're going to, when they want to buy something, with the proceeds. So, you just really have to listen to what their needs are. I forgot the question. I could just talk.
Well, I think sellers are a completely different approach, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that, someone who's just going to list their home versus someone who has to list and then buy, you can always tailor your conversation into, their up leg, right? And making sure that the timing is correct and things like that. And it's easy to dangle the carrot a bit, which might be a shiny new home or whatever that is.
If they're moving out of state because of the lower property taxes or, lower costs.
Or the grandchildren.
Yes, grandchildren. Kids.
That, I had one, hit during COVID, and it was like, well, remember we put the house on the market so you could be near the grandson. Has that changed? And when they calmed down, they realized it hasn't changed. So it's again listening to them and picking up on what is their reason for selling, and going back to that. Well, that reason hasn't changed, has it? No.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move forward. And I had a couple of sellers last year who had been in their homes 40 years plus. So it was, let's box up your dreams. We're not taking them away. We're just boxing up your dreams, and you're going to make new dreams in your new home. They were both widows, so it was a little bit like, we're gonna pack everything away, your memories into a box, and we're gonna help you move and start new memories.
So what I tell them is, when you get to the photos and box it and put it away, go through it later, because you're going to stop on that, start getting, caught up. Oh, remember that? Oh, it was a fun day. Oh, that's, all sorts of emotions are going to come out. So box those immediately. Don't even start going through, and then sort through them at the next house. So, because that will cost us a week.
Yeah,
it's a distraction. So, you have to say it nicely, because, photos mean a lot to people. So, And I'm very clear about stuff that I don't want in the house. I don't want your valuables in the house, because I'm not always going to be there when there's a showing. I don't want any of your medications in there. I told that to one guy, I think like in 2009, and he didn't take his medications out, and someone took his Vicodin. Because they have people that have drug-seeking behavior. I don't want any weapons in the house, or I want them hidden. Knives, schedules of the kids, anything with account numbers, all need to be hidden. So I'm very clear on that up front, because, again, I'm not always at the house. And even if I am there, let's say we were allowed to do open houses, they have people that, are trained to come in, distract you here, and they're going through cabinets or whatever, while I'm in one room talking to someone. So I can't be everywhere at once. So I'm very clear on what has to be taken out of the house. Even like knives on the kitchen, I want those taken out or hidden.
So do you normally do those conversations on separate appointments? So appointment one, you take the listing, actually get things signed, and then do you have that conversation later on? Do you give it a week or two? Do you lump it all together in one? Kind of, what is your strategy? Penny, maybe start with you.
I actually do it at the time of the listing appointment. I kind of go through some of the things that, because I talk about staging, so I then tie in the valuables, any medication, so that they're aware of, maybe they hadn't thought about, well, I've got Dad's firearm under the bed. So I address it right up at the start, and then I keep bringing it back up again. And when we were doing open houses, I would send out the weekly reminder that we're doing an open house Saturday, Sunday. And again, please make sure, the following valuables are out of you. You either take them with you or you lock them up, because I can't be responsible. But I do it at the start.
Mm-hmm. That conversation I do at the start, I touch base with them along the way a lot, because sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks to stage a house. I will cover up a gun safe. It doesn't bother me, but people freak out when they see a gun safe. So I will put a blanket over it and kind of decorate it so you can't tell what's behind there, because, buyers just freak reason. So,
well, I think it's interesting, both of your approach, because saying and addressing a lot of these things just even at that first appointment is showing knowledge and value, and it brings up any problems that may arise in the middle of showings, right? Like, well, I don't want to take that out, or I don't want to make arrangements to put this someplace else. You're really getting to have that conversation at the very beginning. So I think that's a very strong tactic that the both of you have.
Yeah, samurai swords. I said they have to come off the wall before we take photos, before we do anything. I said I don't want to hand someone a weapon while I'm sitting at open house.
Yeah.
Oh, try a mounted deer head.
No. That has to come down.
Oh, and they were so proud of it, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that's got to come down. And they were like,
Family's
really?
dad.
They thought I was joking. I'm like, no, the stage is going to tell you the same thing. And they hung on and hung on till the last day possible to take his prized deer head down.
So how do you, Penny, so how do you have this situation where you have this prized animal that I'm sure they spent money on going and then getting stuffed and hanging on the wall, and they go, well, we don't want to take it down. It looks great, right? What do you say to them?
You do, again, I approach it like the personal picture. I'm trying to sell your home. That doesn't appeal to everybody. We don't want everyone looking at your family. So I treat it like a family member, and he has to come down, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be we want your house as neutral as possible,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, particularly when you get into that big price point, you pull the buyers has already shrunk. So you don't want to shrink it even more when they're flicking through pictures and they go, oh, a deer head, I'm anti-hunting. You've
Right.
maybe lost a buyer. So I approach it
Especially
that
if it's
way.
valuable, you tell them you don't want it to get ruined. If some kid comes in and like decides to swing on it,
I hadn't thought about that, but I didn't
you
like his
just as a
eyes.
little kid,
His
like
eyes followed me
there.
around the room. I'm like, you gotta
Yeah.
go, bud. You're not staying.
Just pretend like there's a rowdy little kid in there destroying all their like icky stuff that you don't want in there.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. So, and I also have them take down any religion, or not paraphernalia. Like sometimes they have like a wall. Well, you've just ruled out all the other religions. Like you said, you want to widen the buyer pool, not narrow it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hey, Alyson, do me a favor and move forward a couple feet. I think the mic will pick you up better. You're just cutting in and out. Okay, sorry about that.
I'm not loud enough.
But I think you ladies bring up good points. I mean, I know the taxidermy thing, not everyone might encounter, but I mean, almost every listing agent encounters something that the seller just wholeheartedly believes in, whether it's that orange colored, wallpaper they just installed, or, in your case, a deer head. So I think that's really interesting.
And if they really are adamant, then I'll set boundaries and say, okay, you've got 2 weeks. And if the feedback is negative on that bright red wall, then we're going to have to neutralize it. Rather than fight with them, if they just can't see it straight away, and even the stage has tried, and then I'll say, okay, let's give it 2 weeks. Then we'll look at the feedback, and then we have to paint it. Then we'll paint it. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to bend a little bit with them, because if you go in too much with the iron fist, they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how I've found anyway.
Yes, agreed.
So have you had people that, I mean, I know we've been touching on this for a while, but people that are just adamant, they're just like, no, I am not doing XYZ based on your recommendation. And I know, Penny, you said, you give them the scenario to, well, it's like, your personal picture, so on and so forth. But when you have people that, well, one, have you guys had people that are just like, nope, I am not doing, items 1 through 5 on your list? How do you handle that objection? And then do you have a workaround, or just or have you just been fortunate not to have any people that are, any sellers that are not accommodating to your request?
No such luck.
Yeah, I've run into it, and like I just said, this is my advice. You've hired me for a reason, and this is what I'm telling you needs to be done. If you feel you don't want to do it, then that's up to you. But this could be the consequences, And when you break it down into numbers and say, well, the offers could come in 20,000 lower, then they think, okay, maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe I'll do it. And if they've got the funds and they can do it, it's done. But for some people, if they can't, they can't. And we do the best we can with what we've got and work with what we've got.
Yeah.
Agreed. You can't push someone. It's already uncomfortable. There's a lot of stress. Usually, people spend a lot of time and money on their home, time in their home. So it's very emotional connection. It's like a baby. They raise their kids or their grandkids or something there. But I do tell them the consequences. I do break it down and say, that red wall, someone might love blue. And, in their mind, that's like they're going to take off, a couple grand, it's a buyer project. Mm-hmm. So you think about walk in as you're a buyer and, that's not your favorite color. You have to redo it, for instance, so you walk through and think, oh my God, well, now I got to, that's a couple days where I have to, tape off the wall. And, you just kind of over exaggerate a little bit, say it's a buyer project. And so, a lot of people want to move in and unpack, they don't want to have to do that. So, I just make it all into what the buyer sees. Mm-hmm. So, and then like I said, I can only give you the information. It's your money, it's your home. You decide what to do with it. So there's only so much, but don't complain to me when we're sitting on market with no offers. If we're on the market for 21 days without 21 showings and not one offer, we're overpriced.
So I've got a question for you from Facebook, from Noelle. She's asking, how do you handle sellers who are contingent sellers upon finding a replacement property and there's nothing on the market to purchase?
Red wine.
Yeah. You heard it here first. The cure for that is red wine.
So is the replacement home in my area or is it out of state?
Oh, let's say in your area. I mean, it doesn't specify, but okay. You've got your sellers and you're like, okay, we're getting ready to list the property, and there's nothing that's going to work for them right now on the market on the upleg. What do you do? What do you say?
Talk about that in advance because I know what the days on market is for their home and for their replacement home because of the stats tab. So we talk about in advance. We talk about number one, options, rent facts, longer escrow, etc. And I also target that area that they want to buy. So let's say they want a 3-bedroom, 1-story with a view, a certain price range, that area. And I will write handwritten note cards to those homeowners and see who I do have a buyer. Or I'll find the phone numbers and call those people. So, and create an opportunity not only for the seller, but for me.
But what do you tell your seller, right? Because you're like, let's sell. This is a great time to sell.
Yeah, you have to be in escrow on the buy to be a buyer. So because it is a great time to sell and because the inventory is so low, your home is probably going to go in multiple offers if we sell it at the right price. Therefore, so is the one that you're buying. So you have to be in escrow. So you have to line up all your ducks. You can't just, hey, I'm thinking about listing. Let's find a house first. That's not going to work on the other side. That seller wants to see that your home is in escrow. So you have to talk about the options up front. Well, with your buyer, we might have to rent back until you find a home.
Penny, what do you do?
What do I drink? No, I talk about, the possibility that, maybe we have to ask for a rent back. And obviously some people go, well, I don't want to pay more than my mortgage. Well, let's break that down again. Is it better to get your home on the market now while there's not a lot of inventory? Because usually mine are doing a lot of move ups. Talk about the possibility of moving twice. Are they up to moving twice? Get them to break down the cost of putting everything into a pod and going to the sister's house while we find something. Usually it's better if you can do that if we know we've got an up leg and it's going to be, maybe just the 3 weeks for the escrow to go through. But have them start to think about the possibility of maybe having to move twice, which isn't ideal, but
Possibly, you could break some of your valuables in the two moves. I do that as well. Mm-hmm. It's painful to move twice. Stressful and painful. Pain versus pleasure.
Okay, that's great. So we've kind of talked about how to really prep our sellers, right? What are some of the things, let's backtrack this a little bit and talking about actually getting your sellers to be ready for this and signing on the dotted line, right? So maybe talk about a little bit about your seller strategies or really lead strategies to generate people, to turn them into sellers or listings.
I was prepared for prepping the seller for the MLS.
Come on, you guys are both listing agents. How do you even get the listing?
Well,
a lot of my listings, I've had to reinvent myself with COVID because I would say a good 95% of my business came from open houses. So it was from meeting people and just following up. So I'm having to reinvent myself. So for me, it's going back to my basics and calling my sphere now. Looking at people that I know bought and have now had another baby, because I've sent the baby gifts and the baby cards out. So I know that 1,400 square foot home now is probably feeling a little tight. And with COVID, it's given me a reason to call them and say, hey, how are you doing on space? So for me, going really right back to my basics.
Yeah, I can't do open houses. I can't farm. Everything that I have on the market right now, I got during COVID. Except for one was before. But so the lady that I'm prepping coming soon, I literally met her 3 years ago. So all I can say is the fortune is in the follow-up. You've got to go back through your database. REO is kind of cool because, you open my computer and I find a listing. So, so when REO tanked, I had to reinvent myself. So I'm used to shifting. You got to pivot. And I have some lead streams that come in. So I have a pretty big database that I should be following up with, but I'm busy running around putting masks in my listings all over the city. So yeah, I would say you have to shift, and you have to follow up with old leads. Go back through your open house leads from a year ago. 2 years ago, those people are ready to buy and sell. So, and you're in your sphere, definitely go back through your sphere. For sure.
So, ladies, thank you. You guys are giving a lot of great information. Have you guys had the opportunity to utilize concierge yet? And are you putting that in your marketing material, etc., to help entice some of the sellers that may have a need to, help fund the stuff that needs to be done on their home before you put it on the market?
Yes, I've done both Instagram and Facebook marketing piece on it. We were able to do a mailing here this week, so we sent out a mailing, which I understand we're allowed to do. So part of the postcard, one side was my listing, the other side was about the concierge service. And when I talk to people, if they call, particularly now when you call them, they go, oh, well, we've been in the house since March. I know it needs painting before I can put it on the market. So I bring that into the conversation and let them know I've got this service. And again, it leads into, and you don't have to pay up front. So I'm definitely using that. Haven't had anyone use it yet, but I am talking about it.
Same here. It went out with my calendars last year in the mail. to several thousand people. It's in my listing presentation. I haven't had anyone use it yet, but I did for the listing that we put in coming soon. We are doing handwritten note cards to the neighbors, and I'm having a meeting with Yes on Wednesday via Zoom to make a customized COVID concierge flyer that the office can use, saying how not only do we have the concierge, but they sanitize. And part of my service is that we will pre-screen the buyers coming through to make sure they're pre-approved and very serious, so you don't have just looky-loos coming through. That's one of the huge gifts COVID, I believe. So I'm making a special flyer with her, a branded flyer that will go out with our handwritten note cards. And I had to be very specific with Rich on what we could say and what we can't say. So we could say that we're prepping one of their neighbors' homes for sale. We just can't give them any information on size or whatever, saying we were wondering if you knew someone that you'd love to have in your beautiful neighborhood. And by the way, once one home goes up, usually several others go up. Do you know anyone that's thinking about selling in the area? So you have to be very specific about what you can and cannot say in that handwritten note card. So, and that flyer is going to go in there.
So in regards to the word prepping, how are you two prepping your sellers for just the state of the market right now? What kind of words and things are you using in your conversations with them to really prepare them for what they're about to get into versus selling a home a year ago?
Obviously, the showings are going to be all by appointment. I will have, like Alyson said, before they can schedule, I need to see their proof of funds, their pre-approval letter. I'll be providing masks, hand sanitizer, everything is going to be there. So, and we're utilizing walkthroughs on the house as well to make sure that they've looked at that before we even let anyone set foot in your house, just to reassure them. Thankfully, the seller I've got at the moment, she's pretty okay. Well, I need to sell the house, so whatever you need to do, Penny, do it. One tip, because we can't use the booties, so I've actually been spraying the soles of their shoes with Lysol before people walk in. And she says, yeah, whatever you need to do, that's fine. So I just reassure the other sellers that I'm doing everything I can, and it might take another week to sell the home versus it might take 2 weeks versus 1 week. And again, it all depends what price point you're working in, because that 600,000 to 800,000 price range, from what I can see, they're still moving fast if they're priced right. And again, talking to them about price, now isn't the time to say, can I push the market? We've really got to look at what's sold, not what's active, because it's the sold that's going to tell you what the buyer is going to be willing to pay for your home. So really bringing it home to them, the importance of pricing correctly from the start.
So, I put a CVS code on my Supras, and until I get the most updated, correctly signed PED, you're not getting that code. So, or an appointment. And I even did a video for agents on that, that don't read the MLS. I have, all that stuff in the supplements. They don't know how to do this. Find a supplement. They don't know how to do a CVS code, and they also don't know how to correctly sign the PED. So I did a video on all three, and that is sent out to an agent when they send a request in for showing. Because they'll call me from the front door saying the CVS.
The lockbox doesn't work.
Yeah, and I even have a note on the door saying, "Here's the 800 number for super support," because I am not technical support. I am not your mom. I was getting so many. I don't know the nicest way to say it. realtor calls, oh, I see your listing, or I drove by your listing, I saw your sign, can I show it? Hey, have you taken the time to read the MLS? Guess a no. But I mean, I don't say it like that, but in my head, so I had to make a video because I don't understand. I mean, the CVS code is so simple. It's so simple. It's so user friendly. So I couldn't handle all the calls. It was a time suck. So I had to systemize the showing. So I do that. That helps me block the looky-loos for the seller. That's how I protect the seller, and I let the seller know that.
And I've seen your video. It's absolutely fantastic. You have so much energy. And I love the part where you say, if your broker isn't showing you what a CBS code is, give me a call because I work at a great office.
I'll train you up lickety split. So actually, I had two people from your office there with me. Actually, Isaac shot that, and Drake was like behind him laughing.
But
Yeah.
that is a good way to leverage your time, Alyson, right? Rather than texting it over and over again or explaining it constantly. I think it's unique and it shows a little bit more about you.
And and if you can't deal with my personality, oh well. Some people are going to like me, some people aren't going to like me. This gives you a bird's eye view into my personality and what I'm like to work with. So, that was a very frustrating time for me. And so I had to make lemonade, and, I poured a bottle of vodka into it as well, but, it worked. So I'm, like I said, Ken's an engineer, so everything has to be systemized, which works in my favor because, if he sees me get frustrated, he's like, okay, let's sit down and figure out how you don't have to do this again. So, and I have to have fun with it.
Right. Penny and Alyson, so are you two showing your sellers the forms, like the PED forms and things, as you're taking the listing? Or do you even broach those? Do you just say you're going to see them, or do you actually physically show them what the forms look like?
Well,
Sorry, go on ahead, Alyson. Sorry, go ahead.
My REO, they're never going to see the PEDs because they're never going to sign them. So it doesn't matter, but go ahead.
Yeah. Mine said she only wants to see it if it's a doctor or someone within the medical field. She said the other ones, Penny, I've already signed to say I agree to allow the showing. She said, I don't want to see them. She says the only time she will double sign is if it's somebody from the medical field. And then she re-signs it.
Interesting. No, I just think it's interesting. I'm just wondering what y'all are doing out there right now. If you're showing it to them or having them all sign.
You've got the CAA form, and it goes into how you're going to market it and what you're going to do. So if you haven't had that conversation, it forces you into that conversation.
But I will say, and I'm not knocking them. I did actually turn 2 showings down this weekend on behalf of my seller because Redfin are of the understanding that they can just schedule an appointment and turn up at the door and hand the PED over to you at that point. And I said, no, I need it prior. And they go, well, we'll just bring it with us. And I said, that's not acceptable. I need it. So and I sensed that I'd had one call and the guy refused to sign it. And then 10 minutes later, a Redfin agent called me. And I think he just jumped onto Redfin and tried to talk to that agent to get in to show the house because he still wouldn't provide proof of funds, pre-approval letter, or even sign it. So I just turned the showing down. My seller was fine with that. She says, I don't want you to put yourself in danger either.
I've turned down several showings because they won't give me proof of funds. And I feel that you did the right thing because that agent's taking shortcuts, and that's indicative of how they're going to be in escrow. So, they're going around the rules and kind of making their own rules. We've set up criteria for our sellers specifically. And if they can't respect that, think with you're married for 30, 45 days to that other agent, and I want to have a good marriage. I don't want to be in an abusive relationship. So, you gotta be in the love zone. You gotta keep it in the love zone. You're starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
So, read the MLS. Stephanie knows. Huge pet peeve. Just read it.
I'm just being quiet back here.
I know. I'm just hoping to all the agents listening right now on Facebook. If you take one thing away from this class, please read the MLS. Please read the private showings, because as these two ladies both shared, nothing is more frustrating when you're having incomplete PED forms or, handing them over in the unrequested way, or not knowing about a CVS code. I think it shows very poorly on us when we don't.
Okay, so let me flip it on the other end. So that agent that doesn't know how to do the CVS code, they're with their buyer. How is that not embarrassing that they don't know their craft?
Yeah.
I don't know how to get in the house. Like really?
Yeah.
So we're supposed to be guiding our clients, and we're supposed to be the experts. And if you don't know that, you haven't even taken I take time on every listing, especially my REO, to answer everything that I know people are going to ask. And, especially about the showings and the show instructions. So you're not even being respectful to my time by not reading the MLS, and the copious amounts of notes and everything that I know. Because I know that REO, I get like 10 times more calls than any other. And, I can't answer them all physically. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of them, hey, is that vacant? Oh, really? Wow. So, we have to all respect each other.
Right.
And the client. You want to do the best job, if you're that agent, do the best job for your buyer. You want to show up being the expert. I don't get it.
Steph, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a pricing, Penny, you started talking about pricing a little bit. Are you guys, because it is important that we as the real estate professionals control the narrative, like Callie was talking about, the market, let them know what's happening, what's really happening, because everybody has their perceptions of what's happening. It all depends on who they're listening to. What are you guys having any price objections, or because fortunately, the pricing is still going well, right? But are you having people that are still wanting to list it for too much, or just what are you dealing with regards to pricing?
The one I've got that I'm currently working in Lakewood that will be coming shortly. No, he's being, because I always you always tell yourselves, ultimately it's up to you where you price the home. I can give you the information and guide you. And, he came straight back and said, I appreciate, you're the professional. I'll go with your pricing strategy. So he could, I'd laid it out and broke it. I think as well, if you break the information out to them in a clear way so he could see it, he could really see it. If you went at 715, these are the homes we're going against versus if we price it correctly. So it's all how you deliver it, and do you do it just written, and it's understanding your client. Have you got an engineer who's very analytical and needs it one way versus somebody who's like, oh yeah, whatever. So yeah, I got a few of those. So I haven't, on my Lakewood, I haven't. My other listing, that's 2 bottles of wine, and we'll talk about that one later, but we're nearly right now.
Yeah.
There's always people that think they have gold pipes and, a silver.
Yeah, rose tinted glasses on, and they see their house is
better than everyone else's.
Yeah, it's the Taj Mahal.
So it's a mindset. then you go to how many people are unemployed, you go through the negatives in the, even though there's a lot of positives with COVID. And, you talk about, what I usually do is pull up a comp that's overpriced. And I have the stats tab and I know what the days on market. So let's say the average days on market is 33 in that area. And then the comps are 90. I said, what do you think when you see 90 and the days on market is 33? They said, something's wrong with the house. And I said, so are you going to offer that price? Nope. Well, so we don't want to be that guy. So, and you go through all those graphs that we have in the listing presentation. And if they really want to try it, I say in the first week, we'll get some feedback, but it's going to cost you money to sit on market. And I also mentioned, I would love to sell your house for $500,000 over. That would make me a hero, but, unfortunately, my superpowers are broken today and I don't control the market value. So the market value is dictated by the market. It's what the buyer is willing to pay and what the seller is willing to let it go for and where those meet in the middle. So, and I have absolutely no control over it, neither do you. I have never met a seller that can pick their sales price. So, and you got to say that nicely to most people because they have a number set in their head and they're locked on. So.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for sharing with us. Do you have any last and final words for those people watching out there that are getting ready to prep their sellers to list or to get the listing?
Smile.
Smile and wine, right? That's what
Smile and wine.
I know Penny's a red wine drinker now after this. Good to know. It's going in the memory bank.
Just listen to them and stay in rapport.
Yep.
So do your best.
Okay.
Well, you two were wonderful, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge, your energy, your just being totally genuine and transparent, and you guys do a great job. So thank you for sharing you with everybody on the call.
And good luck to everyone out there with their buyers and sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. We are both so happy to be in business with the both of you. And you're absolutely fantastic. Thank you again, like Stephanie said, for sharing your knowledge. I know I've learned several new things today, and I always feel that we've accomplished a lot when that happens. So thank you for spending your time with us. Have a happy rest of your Monday, everybody. And hopefully we will be helping you prep your listing soon as well, right?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
All right, bye.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I have no idea you were